Good evening, senior parents. I hope all is well. Welcome to the History of the Holocaust class. I am Mrs. Monk, and it's a pleasure to have your daughters in class this year. Our class we have the entire grade all together, which is a really, really nice opportunity. Just wanted to spend a little bit of time helping you understand what we're doing and what the goals are of this class for the year. So I would say there's two primary goals that we have. If you see over here, the first goal is to examine and analyze the events of history before, during, and after the Holocaust. As from young women and just as members of humanity, it's essential that everybody knows what happened, right? And we're going to span hopefully the gamut of starting from right after World War I all the way through post-Holocaust. And then the secondary goal here, or I don't want to say secondary, but goal 1A and 1B, number 2 here is to provide students opportunities to examine and analyze the various human behaviors that arose during this critical time in history. This, I would say, is the most important thing for me at this point, which is to break down as events progressed, to help understand why people did what they did. How is it possible that so many people followed Hitler, who was a known madman? How is it possible that so many Nazis and guards were able to watch the murder of millions of Jews? How is that possible? How do people act like that? What made some people stand up for the Jews and some completely collaborate with the Nazis? What makes people do these types of things? That's what I want to spend a lot of time talking about. In terms of how I track their progress and how their grade is determined, for me, the heavy focus is on what happens during the 40 minutes of class time. We spend so much time in class all year. It's a shame not to hold them accountable for that time and just to give tests on how they're able to memorize and spit it back. We have the benefit of this being, it's not a Regents class. We have the benefit of really being able to shape this class as we wish, as is appropriate for this age. What I do is every day, we've only had one class so far, but what I do is every single day I fill out a rubric based on their classwork. And I'm pretty easygoing as a grader in terms of this. If they do what they're supposed to do, then they get the points for that. So the categories here are their attitude, their punctuality and attendance, how they're engaged, the level of engagement. It doesn't mean necessarily being loud and outgoing. Some people are shy, but are still engaged anyway. How they listen to each other, to the teacher, but really in particular to each other. How they behave in class, and how prepared they are. Do they come with the materials? Do they come with their supplies, etc. This is really the key for me, because again, they spend so much time in class. It's a shame not to hold them accountable. The way that I grade for the semester is 50% of their grade is this rubric that I just mentioned above, and the other 50% are any sort of assignments, project, journal entries, assessments that I'm giving them. I don't plan to give them tests like the real multiple choice, true or false, those classic history tests. There's so much more to this course than just, a one-word answer or a one-line answer or memorizing facts. Again, because our focus is on so much on human behavior, I felt that it's more appropriate to give assessments that really reflect that. I asked each girl to have a journal because as we learn different things, I'm going to ask girls just to sometimes journal their thoughts, to put themselves in the shoes of, one of the people that we're learning about or a category of people that we're learning about. That I would say is how we're really going to know how much they're internalizing the content in this class. If your daughter has to Zoom for whatever reason, if she's in quarantine or if God forbid she doesn't feel well, she should communicate with me directly, and everything is going to be posted on Schoology. In terms of the topics that we're going to cover, you can see here I just gave this is really in chronological order, a basic overview of the topics that we're going to cover and some of the behavioral aspects that come along with each topic. The one I want to focus on, what we've been doing now for the class that we had and for the second class that we'll have on Friday, God willing, is we've been doing this background to the Holocaust between World War I and World War II, specifically focusing on the topic of resentment. Right, one of the most, I guess one of the classic schools of thought is that the reason that Germans were so quick to go along or were so willing to go along with somebody like Hitler is because they so resented how they were treated after World War I. But we're talking a lot about what it means to be resentful, why resentment brings out certain behaviors. Is it okay to feel resentful? Things along those lines. You could see the rest of them. I just want to focus here on number 4, which is the actual Holocaust itself. And this is really where I want to spend most of our time during the year in terms of focusing on behavior, which is focusing on the different categories of people that existed during that time. Perpetrators, victims, collaborators, bystanders, resistors, rescuers. What makes one person want to save and what makes one person, want to collaborate. These are the types of things that we're going to cover. I'll just end with really, the bystanders are really, for me, one of the most fascinating groups of people here. One of my favorite quotes is what you see here by Yehuda Bauer, who's a Jewish historian. Thou shalt not be a victim. Thou shalt not be a perpetrator, but above all, thou shalt not be a bystander. That's what I want these girls to take out of this. When you see something, say something, stand up for what's right, and have confidence in your choice. Wishing everybody Gemar Chatzima Tova, and I'm really looking forward to teaching your girls.